It is great to have you here today on this registration webinar. We are so excited for our time together here today. We want to encourage you that we're going to have our youth ministry staff that's going to be answering any questions you have today. So if you have a question regarding registration and the process, please type that in the comment box, and we are going to make sure to give you some type of answer. Hopefully it's a correct answer. So today we're excited to have Krista Miller, who is our gathering registrar, and she is filled with lots of information and knowledge that we want to get to you. But I thought we'd start out because not everyone knows our roles or what we do. So Krista, can you tell us a little bit about your role and how long have you been here?
Well, my actual title is Registrar and Operations Manager. Essentially what that means is I oversee a lot of the behind the scenes things that actually happen at the gathering. Most people want to come to the gathering and jump right into all the fun activities that the gathering has to offer. Unfortunately, there's a lot of things that have to be done that not everybody likes to do, but they're necessary evils to an event this size. So one of the things is registration, which we're going to talk about today. Online registration, when you actually show up at the gathering, you have to do an on-site registration process. I contract with all of the hotels. We'll be using about 75 hotels and manage all hotel-related issues. I oversee all the shuttling, so servant events, any hotel shuttling, that sort of thing, and special needs. At the end of the gathering next year, I will have been serving this role for 20 years.
20 years?
20 years. I'm officially old.
Well, I'll tell you, I've learned a lot about Krista's role and all the things she has to deal with, which is pretty incredible. A lot of logistics, and you love it.
I do.
Which is great. Everyone needs a Krista on their staff, I'll tell you. So one of the things you've had a lot of different experiences and stories along the line. I thought it'd be fun just for our audience to hear a little bit about your favorite gathering story.
Wow. Well, if you can imagine, after 20 years, I got a lot. I think one of my favorite moments, though, was my first gathering, 2001, and my daughter was 10 years old at the time. And she got out of school in May of that year and asked if she could come to my office and help me with something. I said, sure, I think I can find something. She came into the office, and if you've been to a gathering before, you know that every congregation gets a packet of registration materials, and in that packet are your wristbands, one for everybody in the group. The packets had a little label on them that said how many youth and how many adults. Youth got one color wristband, adults another. So I told her, just put the wristbands. If it says 3 adults, you put 3 of this. If it has 10 youth, you put 10 of this color. Very simple process. She sat there for several weeks, very diligently stuffing these wristbands, really had no idea what she was doing, just doing what I asked her to do. She came with me to the gathering. We walked into the opening mass event, and then it clicked with her. She goes, wow, Mom, I stuffed all those wristbands. And I was like, yes, honey, you certainly did. So I think a lot of people have that wow moment when they go to the gathering. Hers was just for a completely different reason.
Well, let's get into it, because I know there's lots of stuff with registration.
Yes,
and I'll say this, I know there are some adult leaders that absolutely love things like spreadsheets and logistics and arranging all this stuff. I was not one of those adult leaders. I made sure that there was another adult leader that would do that kind of stuff and have the gifts. And I know there's some adult leaders, more like me, that this registration process makes them anxious or nervous and stuff like that. So we wanted to make sure that we gave you some of the information that would help them through the process. So in that, let's start with when should they be expecting registration material?
Good question. August of this year, we have a registration packet that will be sent to every LCMS congregation, and it has all the information that you will need to get started with registration. So if you know the church secretary, you can alert the church secretary or whomever it is that collects the mail at your church, alert them that this is going to be coming. Now, we have a great communications team in our office, and they are very up to date on these things. They will let you know that these packets have actually been mailed out from our office here in St. Louis. But you'll want to pay close attention to this because it will have your congregation ID number on the mailing label. You will need that number in order to start the registration process. Now, little spoiler alert, everything that comes in that packet will be on the gathering website as well. But you'll get the official packet in August.
That's great. And I love that about the website. And I know our Meredith and the communication teams make sure that that's up to date so that no matter what, when everything is updated for us, we make sure it gets out there.
Absolutely.
So you can always have a resource. Some people like to search it. It's just really easy for them, which is great. We laughed a little bit in our congregation when it was that time for the registration. It was a little bit of a scavenger hunt to try to figure out where it was because everyone's mail system's a little different.
Right.
So it could end up on that pastor's desk or your admin's desk or anyway, it was a little bit of a scavenger hunt for us. So be looking for those. That's coming out. So when they have that, so let's talk about maybe some general registration dates and some overviews for that. What should they be expecting as far as when do they need to get things in? And just take us a little bit through the registration timeline.
Sure. One of the key pieces that you will find in this packet or on the website as well is a worksheet for youth and adults. You can print however many of those that you need, and you will want to send those out to whomever you feel might be wanting to attend the gathering. It has exactly the information that you're going to need to enter into the website. So it's very convenient to use those. So get those worksheets out to the youth and adults and have them get those back to you. We don't need those in our office. That's for your use only. Starting on September 5th, you can actually start entering your information into the gathering website. So you can start registering. It's very helpful to start doing that in advance if you have a large group that has upwards of 100 people. As you can imagine, it takes a while to do all of that. So you can start on September 5th to do that. Now, once you get that in, everything entered in, it will prompt you through, and you actually have to print a couple of forms. And those forms have to be sent to our office. You can print those at any time that you feel like you're finished with your registration process. However, you can't mail them before October 17th. They cannot be postmarked prior to that. So you'll mail those to our office starting October 17th and any time after that. So those are the two key pieces right now to get started.
That's great. And just an encouragement for those that aren't detailed kind of people to really find someone. There's definitely people in your congregation that love to do that kind of stuff, data entry and those kind of things, make sure that data is up to date and right and things that are missing. Just really encourage you to find those people in your congregation to help you and assist you with that. It doesn't all have to fall on your plate. All right. So tell us a little bit about when we look at the specifics. Well, let's get to some of the next step things about the registration process. Can you take us through some of the next things?
After you have actually entered all of your information online and you've mailed all of your stuff in, that's pretty much all you have to do right then. After the very beginning of the year, January of 2019, you will receive confirmation from our office that you've officially been accepted into the gathering. At that point, then we will pretty well prompt you. You will be in our communication system. We will prompt you what needs to be done along the way. When your hotel deposit, when the hotel assignment is made, hotel deposits are due, all of that sort of thing. The one key piece, one key date that I would like to put out there now is May 1st of 2019. Gathering has something known as express registration. It's really a very slick thing that if you pay the balance of your registration fees up front by May 1st, then when you get to the gathering, all of your materials are there and you just kind of zip right through the line and you don't have any hassle with anything. Now, if that doesn't work for you, perfectly okay. You can pay the balance when you get there, and that will all happen, but it just makes it easier. And if you kind of plan for it up front, kind of keep that May 1st date in mind and financially plan for it so you get that paid for, it does help all along the way a little bit better.
It's great. And you talk about cost. Now, we get this question all the time, and a lot of people have been wondering about that on their Facebook pages and stuff like that, asking, well, how much is the gathering going to cost? We can tell you that answer now. How much is the gathering registration going to cost?
The registration is $365 a person. Now, when you register, you'll have the option of paying a $150 deposit, non-refundable, for each person that registers, or if you've already fundraised and you have all your money, you can pay the full balance at that time. Whichever way you go, you've got to do it for everybody. You can't have two people pay the deposit and the rest pay the balance. So you just figure out which way works best for you. That is until March 1st of next year, and then the fee goes up to $400 at that point in time.
Okay, so by far, best to get it done early so you get the lowest rates, and that we know the gathering is an investment. It is a costly thing by the time you get all your expenses in there. So one of the things we really want to encourage you is to get your registration in early so you have the lowest rate in that. The other thing that you've said, and I just want to encourage groups to do that really, is the best thing to do is get it paid right away.
Right.
And kind of set. In fact, we've had some webinars where we've had some adult leaders come on and they've set schedules so they get all that money ahead of time, they pay it all, they don't have to worry about it, because we know when they get to the gathering, they go to that express line and they can be done. Because lots of things to do in Minneapolis.
Absolutely.
You want to get a Juicy Lucy instead of standing in the registration line, right?
That's right. That's
Excellent.
right.
So what are some different options they have to pay?
You can pay by check, but it has to be a church check or a youth group check. No personal checks. You can use a cashier's check or a money order as well. Those are accepted. And the other thing you may want to check into is the LCEF steward account. It's kind of a nice feature that the LCEF has set up for us. If you are doing your fundraising, you can just put all your money into your steward account, and when you get to the gathering, you could get a debit card and just use it like a credit card along the way, and it'll pull the money right out of your account. Plus, LCEF does have a bank at the gathering on site, so you have any questions or just want to get cash money, you can go do that on site as well.
It's such a great resource. We're going to be talking about some of the LCEF options in upcoming webinars as well. Okay, so a couple of things as we're kind of looking at, we get lots of questions in the gathering, right?
Right.
And one of those questions that we get a lot is who can attend this gathering? And the other thing is, how many adults can I bring, or do I have to bring? Can you talk about those two things?
Sure. We do get that question a lot. The age limit for the gathering on the low end is you have to be 14 years old at the time of the gathering, or going into 9th grade in the fall of 2019. And it's either or, you don't have to do both, but we have a lot of different scenarios that we have to deal with. Some students have started school when they were very young, so they might only be 13 years old, but they are going into 9th grade, so they do qualify. Some children are homeschooled and don't really have a grade affiliation, so we strictly look to the age at that point in time. On the high end, you cannot have turned 21 years old. You are then considered an adult, and you would need to register as an adult. There is, in the registration materials, you will find a youth to adult ratio. We do recommend that every group has at least 2 adults. Even if you only have 2 students, we do recommend that you have 2 adults as a minimum.
There's also other ways, right? So you can be a participant, but you can also serve at the gathering. And we have a CLB process that we've already gone through.
Right.
But there's another exciting opportunity for our young adults. Can you tell us about the young adult volunteers?
Absolutely. This is just a tremendous group of young people. They're 19 to 25 years old. For the most part, they've all been to a gathering before, had a fabulous time, and they want to come back. But if they're 22, 23 years old, they don't want to be a part of the 14-year-olds. They don't have a lot in common. So we have created this group of young people, young adult volunteers, YAVs, or the Orange Nation that they have grown to be, and they come and they serve. They pay the registration fee, but the gathering pays for their housing, and they all stay together in this great community. They have a wonderful time. They usually serve about 6 hours a day, so they do have an opportunity to serve, but they still get to enjoy some of the gathering activities as well. But they have a fantastic time. High energy, just great fun.
Yeah, it's a great next step. I love some of our 20-somethings who've gone and have done that. They just come back from 2 things. I think it's a way for them to extend their gathering experience and then to learn and to grow, and they just get that leadership style, which is kind of fun to see them in the church. So our young adults have come back just so excited about that experience. So encourage them to sign up for that. It's such a great experience. So Krista, we know that life changes, right? And sometimes you have youth who sign up, but they move, or something's come up in their life, and so they can't go. And later, sometimes you have youth who when everyone else is registering, doesn't want to go, but somehow they've been talked into it and they want to add into the group. Can you tell us a little bit about the substitution policy and how to go about that? And then also, if you want to add people later on, how do you do that?
Sure. Again, your congregation ID number is your key to getting back into your account. So the substituting part, canceling, is very simple. You just access your account. If you pay the $150, it's non-refundable for the deposit. However, if you find someone that does want to go, you can transfer that $150 over to them, so you don't lose that amount of money. If someone decides later on that they want to join as well, then again, it's the same way. Just go back into your account and you can add them on the same way.
What's the last date, just to make sure we have that down, what's the last date that you can add someone into your registration numbers?
That would be May 29th.
May 29th.
Of 2019.
Okay, put that on the calendar now, last date, got to get it in before then. And
Right.
we really encourage you to do it before then.
Right.
Because there's a lot of logistics involved in that. So the sooner that we know, the better it is for your group as well.
Right.
Yeah. All right. So sometimes we get the question that says, well, who can go to this gathering? So for example, do you have to be a member of the church to do that? Or can people bring friends?
You do not have to be a member of the church. A classic question is, do you have to be confirmed? And that is not the case. You do not have to be Lutheran, and you don't have to be confirmed. If students have friends, especially if they go to public school and they have friends that aren't even churched at all, we highly encourage them to invite them. However, if you're going to do that, we would encourage them to do it sooner rather than later. You don't want them to just be getting on the bus as you're going off to Minneapolis next summer. That really doesn't work well for anyone. But if you're going to invite someone who is not part of your church or your youth group, do it sooner. Invite them into your pre-gathering Bible studies. If you're going to do fundraisers or any kind of fellowship activities, you want them to be a part of the group. You want the pastor and the youth leaders to get to know them. They might be your friend, but nobody else really knows them, and you want them to be part of the whole group. So if you're doing it, do it sooner rather than later, and totally welcome them to come along.
One of the things I know, Krista, we love to hear stories about what happens in congregations. And one story that sticks in my mind was one congregation last time that they invited a friend that started coming to the youth group and to come along to the whole experience. And what they did is the pastor of the congregation took that youth who wanted to know more about the faith, took them through adult instruction, and the first time that they took communion was at our worship service of 25,000.
That's awesome.
I mean, how about that for a first communion experience, right?
It
was a pretty emotional moment for them. And we've heard about friends who come and they get baptized because they've been a part of that whole experience, and they bond in with that community, and it's a beautiful thing. So
that is great.
We have some more webinars that are coming up that will talk about some outreach elements that you can do with that, including some who I know fundraise, and they bring a part of that. They bring these youth as a free experience. It's pretty amazing. So anyway, there's more to be said about that. Now, Minneapolis, new place, right? We've never been there before.
Have not.
It very much, for me, it's like going back home a little bit. So tell us a little bit about the hotel scene in Minneapolis, just a little bit, because we'll have more webinars on this.
Sure. Well, like everything else about this gathering, it's going to be different because we've not been there. And even though the gatherings are all theoretically the same, they're all different. And certainly when you go to a different city, that lends to it as well. The hotel picture is going to be slightly different as well. But the one thing that has not changed is that we still are going to require that all participants stay in our block, and we will assign them to their hotel. There's a variety of reasons why we do this, but that is the one thing that has not changed. So do not want people to make their own hotel reservations. Actually, it's one less thing they have to do. Kind of take that off of your list, and that will all happen next spring. But if you've made hotel reservations, you probably want to cancel them, because the hotels are on board with our process, and they won't allow people to come in and make their own reservations. They know that we will assign them, and that's the way we manage the whole thing. But again, it's going to be a little different, but it's going to be great.
Yes, we are hoping and praying, being up in the Midwest, that the weather's going to be a little cooler.
Hoping.
Right? We were just there not too long ago, and it was beautiful this summer up there. So we're hoping that, and we've asked for no mosquitoes up there.
That's right.
The city council has approved that, so they're going to get rid of personally well, maybe not every mosquito. There might be a few. One more thing that I want to get to, but just want to remind you once again, if you've got a question, make sure to type it out. That's what we're here to do. We want to answer that to make this as easy as possible. We really have a heart for adult leaders, knowing that it's a hard thing to bring a group of youth to a gathering, an experience like this with lots of logistics involved. So we have a heart to help you in whatever way we can. So ask your question. We will continue to answer those. Well, Chris, there was a lot of information we just threw at them, right? Because there's a lot involved in this whole process. And in helping our adult leaders think about some of the next steps in there, what are some simple steps that they can keep in mind as they're kind of getting ready for the registration process, and how do they move towards getting that group ready?
Okay, I would say, just from 20 years of experience, almost 20, I would say the first thing is don't get overwhelmed. And it's so easy to do. You know the old joke, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time.
Yeah.
Well, the gathering can be an elephant, I think, for a lot of people. And it's designed so you don't have to do everything at once. It's all kind of in a sequence. So just try to breathe, don't get overwhelmed. Stay connected to the website, because you will get so much information there, and the communications team keeps putting more on all the time. Also, we have an adult leader Facebook group. If you are registered, I would highly suggest that people connect with them. We have all kinds of answers for you, but these are oftentimes very seasoned gathering leaders, and they have more answers than what we have. We also have a district coordinator for every one of the LCMS districts, and those are listed on the website as well, so you can find out who yours is and see what they have planned, if they've got a bus going from your district, if they're doing a district event when they get to the gathering, all sorts of things like that. And last but certainly not least, call our office, email our office. We are there, and we are happy to help with you literally every step of the way.
Yeah, that's so good. In fact, we just had a question the other day where someone asked, they were looking at, they have a group that's going up there, they know they can't fill a bus, so they're looking for another church that they want to go with. And so it was an easy chance for us to connect them with their district coordinator.
Right.
And so now they're connecting different people on there. We're really a networking opportunity that we would love to help in whatever way we can. So use us. We will connect you with the right people. We've got a great team of planners that are thinking about you. We have actually a team that's all about resourcing you. And so go to the website, as Chris was talking about, lots of resources on timelines and plannings and information meetings. We have more webinars that are going to come up that we want to encourage you. Each month we'll kind of focus on something a little different. This month was registration. Next month, I know it's going to be Gathering 101, and talk about some of the details of the planning. And we'll just continue to add information to help you in whatever way we can. Krista, we're so grateful for you and all that you do for the gathering. Thank you for your time. And like I said, use us. If you got a few more comments, go ahead and send those in. We'd love to answer those. But we look forward to joining you in this process. And we're really excited and praying for all of our adult leaders, praying for groups as kids are deciding whether to go to the gathering or not. And we know that this gathering, Real Present God, is going to be an amazing experience for our church.